Okay, I'm here with Hein Gering. Is that the correct way to pronounce your surname?
Good. Hein Gering.
Hein was just telling me that he was a test pilot on the ME-262, and there is one at a museum. What's the museum called in Munich?
The name is Deutsche Museum, the German museum in Munich.
And then there's an ME-262 in the museum, and Hein flew this aircraft 7 times, and it was obviously a nostalgic thing to come upon this aeroplane. So I'm just going to set up my camera, take this photograph with the garden behind, and while I'm doing that, I'm just going to ask you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Just while I'm doing this. So, did you go straight from school into the Luftwaffe?
Yes, I volunteered to the Luftwaffe at the age of 17.
Yeah.
And I was taken by Luftwaffe in 1st of November 1940.
Okay, so you were 17 in 1940.
17 in 3 months to be exact.
Wow. So, that's young. So you're you're a bit older than Theo. Theo was, I think he must be a couple of years younger than you.
Yeah, he was born in 1924, I believe,
Yeah,
or 25.
And you were born in
1923.
23. Okay. So you're 5 years younger than my father.
Younger?
Younger.
Mm.
Yeah. And he's just about to have his 90th birthday. In fact, several of the pilots that I have met. So I'm just going to see if how this turns out like. It's interesting. Several of the pilots that I've interviewed were all born in 1918.
Is that right? Yeah?
Which is quite bizarre because they went right through the war and survived. So I would expect that many of the people who went through pilot training so early in the war would have been sent to the Eastern Front, or they would have perhaps been in lots of combat over or involved in bombing missions over the Western Front, and there was a good chance they'd be dead by the end of the war.
Oh yes.
Especially those who went to Russia. And you survived.
Well, actually on the Eastern Front, the losses of the Luftwaffe was not as great as on the Western Front.
Is that right?
Yes.
This is because the aircraft they were flying against were technically better than on the Eastern Front, and also perhaps the pilots were better trained.
The pilots were better trained than the Russians.
Yeah.
And it was actually for German fighters flying at the Eastern Front, they had more air victories as when we were stationed at the Western Front. It's quite clear.
Yeah, if you look at Booby Hartmann and
Yes.
and people like Wunderwald, I mean, they had extraordinary scores, whereas somebody like Gunther Sieger, he got 56. He claimed 56 on the Western Front.
On the Western Front.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, you can't compare it, as I say it now, but 56 scores on the Western Front would have been about 120 on the Eastern Front.
Yeah. He flew over 500 missions. No, I said in the car, he had more than 500 contacts with enemy aircraft.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. And so that's a ratio. That means that 1 in 10, for every 10 contacts he had, he managed to shoot down 1 aircraft, which is quite an extraordinary ratio.
Yes.
And the other thing, of course, is that he was shot down 4 times, but he was never badly injured.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas lots of guys were either killed or badly injured if they were shot down many times. So you, towards the end of your flying career during the war, were a test pilot. But what did you do in between training, your initial training, and the latter stages of the war?
Well, when I finished my initial training, I was on an instrument flying school in Copenhagen, in Denmark, and they kept me as an instrument flight instructor for a while, and after this I was transferred to a bomber wing, flying Junkers 88 twin engine.
Yeah.
Really nice aircraft, and I was flying it in the Mediterranean area.
Okay.
North
My father chased after a Junkers 88
Really?
over Alexandria.
Really? I've been over Alexandria too, and it was Mediterranean, and then on the Western Front, and finally on the invasion front in June 1944, and there I was shot down by most probably a British night fighter, and
My father was a British night fighter.
that's what I understand. And but I was not hurt, and when I returned, after we bailed out, we had to bail out, and then I was transferred to the air proving grounds of the Luftwaffe in Rechlin.
Where is that?
It's about at the Müritz Lake, northwest of Berlin. And there we started testing the Arado 234 and later on the 262, Messerschmitt 262.
What period was that?
Pardon?
What period was that? What year?
That was in at the end June 1944, right after the invasion.
Oh, after the invasion. Yeah, okay.
And
so you'd had quite a number of hours by this time, flying on the twin engine bomber.
oh yeah,
So you were quite an experienced pilot.
I had at least on the Junkers 88, I had at least by then 2,500 hours.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Well,
Most guys.
in the meantime, I have 23,000 in command. So when we tested the Arado 234, we have been 12 test pilots, and 3 of those 12 have survived, and I'm one of them. And I've been flying the Arado 234B, which was the twin aircraft, twin engine aircraft.
I guess yes.
And then came the 234C aircraft, but this never came into mission. I've flown the C, the 4 engine, 3 times. It was a nice aircraft.
What was that designed to be? A bomber? A fast bomber? What was the thinking behind using the 262 as a bomber as opposed to a fighter?
The idea of using a 262 as a bomber was one of Hitler's ideas.
Yeah.
It was absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
The 262 was a fighter, an excellent fighter, and but never a bomber.
People are always saying that Hitler was our best ally.
Yep. I'm sure.
I mean, it does strike me as being insane. I mean, the Germans, the technology, in many ways, developed in Germany was far superior to ours. but it was not well
In a
used.
way, yes.
And I mean, I suppose radar is not a good example of that. I think we used radar to good effect before you did.
Oh yes.
But
Definitely.
the 262 is a classic example. It was insane, absolutely insane to use that aircraft in that role. So I wouldn't mind going outside.
Go ahead.
It's okay with you, and just taking some photographs out there, and perhaps carrying on this conversation.
Yes.
Okay, I'm recording this conversation again. I don't know much about the Orado. I know a little bit about the 262, but how many of them were made?
Manufactured.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, there were about 240, 250. But in action,
Yeah.
we had about 80 at the most. 80
And were
aircraft.
they used? Were they used against the Western, against the
Only on the
Americans and the
Western
Brits?
Front. Only on the Western Front.
Okay.
Except in April '45, we flew a few missions against the Eastern Front, the Oder River. But mainly we've been flying in the West.
And
But to be too honest, we were not very successful on the Arado 234 missions.
I don't understand why you would, apart from the fact that you could get in and out quickly, why you would want to have a jet bomber at that stage of the war when jets could be used more effectively in a fighter role. If you're going to develop that technology and you only have a certain amount of resources, that surely it would have been better to put those resources into a fighter.
Yes, that's correct.
Of course the British made a fighter, but it wasn't anything to write home about. I don't think it saw any significant combat. It never came up against a 262. Probably if it had, it would have been second best, because I don't think it was a particularly good aircraft.
Well, the only British aircraft, which could cope with us with the 262 and the 234 were the Tempest. The Tempest was very fast.
Yeah.
And we always had problems coming in for landing.
Yeah. And
That's where they...
is that because once you'd committed to your landing, that was it? You had to, once you'd committed to land, you could only land. You couldn't do much else. I don't really understand why you had such problems on landing. You were very vulnerable on landing and takeoff with the 262.
Not exactly on takeoff, not. I don't think, but on landing. Of course, you had to slow down, and at least you had a final approach of about 1 or 2 miles, and that was the time when we been vulnerable. And that was the reason why normally we had what we called fighter cover
Yeah.
when we came in for landing.
Yeah.
This was the only way to make it.
I think that Gunther Ziege, who I spoke to this morning, he spent some time providing cover to the 262s as they were coming in.
Yes.
And did you see combat in the 262? Or were you solely used as a test pilot?
I didn't fly combat
Yeah.
with the 262,
Yeah.
only with the 234.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say. When we flew an attack on, let's say, a railroad station or one of the Dutch harbors and so on. We flew with about 9 or 12 Arado 234s at the most. And well, we carried one bomb, so you couldn't have much damage.
You didn't get it right the first time. Yeah. And then you had B-17s and Lancasters carrying a full payload, not nearly as fast.
And we attacked, even if we attacked with success, it was just like putting a needle into the.
Yeah.
What I remember well were the attacks on the Remagen Bridge. Remember Remagen?
I'm just thinking.
Crossing the Rhine River.
Yeah.
Remagen Bridge was the last bridge crossing the Rhine River, not being blown up by the Germans. And that's where the Americans showed up. And then all of a sudden we realized we have to get rid of this bridge. And we flew several attacks. We hit the bridge also several times, but we didn't blow up the bridge.
Because it was made by the Germans. It was too strong.
No. Well, the bombs, they just went through, gone. And then one of the pilots of my squadron, Master Sergeant, married kids. He flew a kamikaze on the bridge. Damaged it, but the Americans, 2 days later, they had crossed the Rhine River with pontoon bridges and whatever we had.
Yeah. I was speaking to somebody else who was asked to carry out a kamikaze attack on a bridge, and he refused to do it. The full colonel came and spoke to him and said, things are very bad, time has come for us to, you have to put a bomb under your plane and go and knock out one of these bridges. And if you need to, I want you to crash your plane into the bridge. So anyway, they didn't do that.
We've been asked to do it, and they asked for volunteers. And this Master Sergeant, he volunteered for it. And well, naturally he died. And after he was dead, he was given the Knight's Cross, which Kindersäger has as well.
So it all seems so crazy looking back at it now.
Yeah.
One thing that strikes me when I meet people like you is how you would, under different circumstances, or under these circumstances, get on very well with my father. And yet you guys spend all this time doing terrible things to each other. It's just insane. It's completely insane. And unfortunately, my generation has never had to go, well, we've certainly not on the scale that you did. And I've enjoyed all of the pilots that I've met. And it just seems, I know this sounds very naive, but to me it just seems unbelievable that these things happen, that people went through the sort of things that you went through and were asked to do things like commit an act of kamikaze on a bridge or to kill each other. When I was listening to Gunter Sieger today, I was thinking this was a very effective pilot, a very effective fighter pilot. But quite clearly, he knew he had a job to do, but I'm sure there were other things he'd rather be doing.
Well, nowadays, if I think back, well, I think different than at that time.
Yeah.
we felt that we had been attacked or we would be attacked and so on. And we thought we had to defend our home country. After the war, I have met so many pilots or crew members of the Royal Air Force. I met so many American Air Force pilots, Australians.
Yeah.
We became friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes you've been sitting there, have the scotch in your hand and saying, however could we do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at that time, I must say, we didn't know otherwise. No, no, this is not the right word.
Any other way?
Any other way. We felt that, yes, we had to defend our country. Nowadays, I don't think that you wanted to attack us. I don't think so.
Only in football. Yeah. No, things have changed. This will never happen again the way it did before. But there'll be, war. The nature of war has changed.
Yeah.
And it'll never be the way that it was again, I don't think. Which is a good thing.
Wollen wir hier Tee trinken? Or is
Ja, hier ist doch schön draußen.
Is it nice?
It's nice out here. Yes.
Excuse me, please. Best regards from Klaus Genisch. Ingrid is better. Yeah, it's better. The heart is in
Working problem.
Yeah.
A good friend of ours.
She has a bad heart operation. The same one as I had 6 years ago. So we all worried very much because she was not in a very good condition first days, but it's much better now.
Good.
Excellent.
Look at that photograph again. I just want to take a photograph of you sitting the way that you are, if possible, in this photo, because I think it's quite fun to do that. You will need to lift up your right shoulder a little bit, possibly. Lean towards me a little bit, if you can, if that's not too uncomfortable. And look over here. That's great. That's perfect. Turn your eyes over that way a little tiny bit. That's good. That'll be fun. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that was at the age of 21. Yeah.
Yeah. And did you always want to?
I was at that time. I was once the youngest second lieutenant of the German Air Force.
Wow.
With 18.
Wow. Did you?
Funny thing, you see, I'm a kid like a school kid.
Yeah.
Even there. I remember when I was once based near Berlin, and in Berlin, you know the Kurfürsten Damm, you know this main avenue, you know, middle of Berlin, and I walked on the Kurfürstendamm, and all the soldiers coming by, they had to
salute.
Naturally, I had to salute too. Very often, when an old man, you know, was about 30, 32 years, this, you know, old soldier PFC or I don't know what, corporal, and I saw them coming. I turned around, you know, and I stood in front of one of the show windows as pretending to look into this show window, you know. So
The old man wouldn't have to salute you.
but on the other hand, I never really was eager that they had to salute.
Yeah.
There's one exception when I was what do you call this? When you start in the armed forces, you know?
Cadet.
Cadet,
Yeah.
you know?
No?
And I was a cadet in Oschatz, near Leipzig, and I had well, I don't know what to call him. He was well, he was something like not even a corporal, and he was commanding a group of 12 cadets. And we came back from an exercise, and we had to present our rifles, you know. We had to clean the rifles, and so this fellow came and looked at the rifles, and then on my rifle he found a little bit of rust.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it, rust?
Yeah.
Like
A pinhead.
a pinhead,
Yeah.
really. And he said, "You come to my room tonight at 7:30. You present this, and you are in full uniform with helmet, tornister, you know, this bag
Yeah.
on the back, and
Rucksack.
everything, and the gas mask, you know, everything what you can." And I came in 7:30, knocked on his door. It was just opposite from my room. Knocked on the door, you know, and then you had to say, recruit Gering, ask for permission to enter Herrn Obergefreitens. And I, so, come in. I came in, you know, and he was there, and on his bed was a real beautiful girl, and not one of those where you say, you know, the usual. She was really a nice girl, obviously. And so I had to report, and he looked at my rifle, and then he said, "All right, present your rifle, you know, in front, and then go down, you know, with the knees, you know, go down, turn the
Squats.
right to the left, turn the right to the right, you know." And this girl, she hated this, obviously. She didn't want, you know, and he just wanted to show off. And anyway, then he said, "If you ever become an officer," that was his word there, "if you ever become an officer, I take off my uniform jacket." He said he didn't want to be a soldier anymore. Well, and I was a lieutenant. And I was a pilot, I had my wings, and I even had, at that time, already the Iron Cross. And I was in Berlin, near the Potsdamer Bahnhof, main station there. And all of a sudden, I saw this fellow coming towards me and saluting, you know, like this. And I stopped him. I never did this ever again, you know. I stopped him, I said, and I called him by name. I remember his name. And I said, would you come here, please? And he said, hello, Lieutenant. And then I said, I called him by his name again. I said, take off your jacket, your uniform jacket. He said, I don't understand. I said, take off your uniform jacket. Yeah. And then I told him, you remember in Auschwitz? You promised me you take off your uniform jacket. Whenever I become a lieutenant. Hi, Jets.
Would the gentleman like to come over here?
Sure.
Yeah?
Be very nice.
Because this table is a little bit small.
Sure.
I just wanted to ask if your camera in the center.
Yeah. I'm going to put this here,
Uh-huh.
perhaps.
That's dirty. I would have... Didn't know you use it.
That's absolutely fine.
Yes, excellent.
Schöne Kamera ist das
I
hier.
shall just get my other.
Video.
Schön, aha.
So, sitze ich da?
Nein, du sitzt hier an deinem Platz, mein Platz, wenn es recht ist. Und wir setzen den
Ja,
dort
will ja
dahin.
wahrscheinlich fotografieren.
Ach so, er will
This looks
fotografieren.
very nice.
Will you continue to photograph?
I won't take photographs now, but I'll continue to use the video. What I will do though is I'll take a photograph of the two of you together,
Dann,
if I may, before it gets too dark. There we go. I'll just put this inside.
if you don't mind, if you
That's
like.
absolutely fine. I'm just going to put this somewhere. I know, I'll put it on the big table.
Hier.
Okay.
Oh, Christoph.
For your pocket. Your phone is ringing a lot today. You're obviously very popular. Okay. I tell you what, it's very warm here compared to where I've been staying in England. Shall I pour some tea?
No, go ahead, go ahead. Take
I'll
this.
pour some for you.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you drink tea the English way, with milk, or do you take it black?
Only Marianne does.
I'm having a little bit of milk.
Oh.
You help yourself, please.
After you.
Thank you. Oh, it was a bit more than a little bit.
It's not so nice when there's too much milk, is it? It's nicer to have just a little bit of milk. Do you take sugar?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. These cakes look very nice. Did you make them yourself?
No, I'm not baking anymore. I'm too old for that, you know. It's too, for me, it's too much trouble. And for the two of us, Hein doesn't want it very much. But this is homemade anyway. Our niece came yesterday to see us. And when she comes, she always brings a cake. So this was, I mean, it's fresh. It was
Hast du denn da was, Kuchen,
Bitte?
eine Schaufel?
Ja, natürlich. Ja.
Farin, was
May I, would you like to have it? It's strawberries, and
Sure.
it's, as I said, it's homemade. The other ones are
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal the first cake.
gut.
Thank you.
Und du auch
Auch
eins?
eins,
Warte mal, ich nehme das kleine.
I can see you're spoilt, Hein.
Sometimes.
Well, you know, the trouble is that Hein is, he's not able to walk as we used to do. We used to walk in the mountains and so on. I mean, we were younger then, of course.
Yeah.
But since he has a trouble with his walking at all, he walks very little and he is sitting very often. I mean, not having enough exercise actually. Sometimes.
Yeah.
And then food.
But I'm happy that I still can drive a car. She can't drive a car anymore. She had a terrific eye operation a couple of years ago. They expected cancer behind the eye, but and since that she has lost a lot of
Vision.
Well, yes, I can see my hand.
Peripheral vision.
yes.
Yeah.
This car.
It's just from, I could hardly see my hand anymore, and all this is gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
So I cannot drive a car.
Yeah.
Especially not on the left side. In Germany, we are sitting on the left side, and you would not see. I would not see if somebody comes and overdrives, or you
Yeah.
don't. Overtakes. Yes. Well, anyway, as long as Hein can drive, we have no problems
No,
with,
you're fine
with
then.
shopping
So
and
I
so
drive her to the job, to the shops, you know,
Yeah.
and she walks in.
Bon appetit.
Yeah, this is,
This is
but
very
we
nice.
have our daughter living next door
Do.
with her family, so I mean it's a very good feeling that close to us.
Did I meet your daughter on the way in?
Yeah.
The end.
I'm going to change the tape.